Welcome. Today we're speaking with Jeremy Balkin, multi-award winning author and Head of Innovation for HSBC. Jeremy, welcome.
Thanks, James. Hi, everyone.
Jeremy, as we do, where were you born and raised in Australia?
I was born at Prince of Wales Hospital in Randwick and grew up around Bondi and Bondi Beach in Sydney. My parents are immigrants. My grandparents are immigrants. Proud Aussie here and living in New York.
Jeremy, what did you do in Australia before moving to the US?
I spent a lot of time as an entrepreneur in financial services, and then within financial services as an intrapreneur with the best known bank in Australia, Macquarie. And I also worked for a period for a bloke named Malcolm Turnbull, someone you may have heard of. Really diverse career and skills that have set me up to what I'm doing now, really perfectly.
And what brought you to New York?
That's the question, isn't it? I guess I came to New York on a 90-day tourist visa with half a bag. I'm a positive person, but the bag was half empty. That was in July of 2013, so 7 years ago, almost to the day. And I was ostensibly here to give a speech at the UN at a family office wealth management conference. That one talk in some ways led to another talk and then another talk and then a TED talk, for those of you who are familiar. And that TED talk went viral online, which then led to signing a book deal and writing a book, which absurdly people actually read. And that won some awards. And then I guess I also fell in love and stayed in New York, and it's just been an amazing journey since then. I'm very grateful for the opportunities and the luck that I've had.
As you know, we've been doing a series of interviews with Australian thought leaders here with regard to business continuity and COVID-19. From your experience, what advice would you give to an organisation that right now is facing the challenges of COVID-19?
That's a tough one. I think I would say first and foremost, it's not too late. And what I mean by that is it's not too late to innovate and to build out a resilient mobile-first digital strategy. If you think back, James, to really when this all started, what's the one thing that the lockdowns, wherever they are in the world, whichever city, they meant that traditional person-to-person interactions and consumer interactions could no longer take place. So if you didn't have a digital or mobile engagement strategy to conduct commerce, you're struggling to be in business today. And we've seen, sadly, many examples of businesses that, in addition to forces beyond their control, weren't able to adapt and aren't doing business today. At the flip side, those companies and businesses and industries that were mobile first or digitally engaged are thriving today. So that is fundamentally the most important from a business perspective. And again, as we sort of maybe hopefully see light at the end of the tunnel, this is the perfect time to be reevaluating your forward-thinking, innovation, digital innovation, transformation, and renewal strategy. If you aren't already actively doing that, to reposition your business to capitalize on the next normal and to be more relevant to more people in more markets. And you can do that through the scale that digital presents.
Jeremy, there's a lot of talk about the new economy or the new normal. What shifts are you seeing in consumer behavior that organizations really need to capitalize?
I don't know about you, James, but when I grew up, that old saying, it takes 21 days to form a habit. I did some analysis when COVID started. Probably the most rigorous scientific study that I found on the subject of habit formation was out of Europe, which found that on average it takes 66 days, so call it 10 weeks, to form a habit on average. The easy ones take a little less, the hard ones take a lot more, but on average we're at 66 days. I mean, you and I here, we're in Manhattan, we're at day 130, give or take. We're almost at 2 times that cycle. So point being is, what new behaviors, what new habits have you and I and millions or billions of other people formed during this lockdown, both as people and as professionals? And there are many, in addition to what I sort of said earlier about digital engagement. How many businesses, how many sort of technology Luddites out there have been forced to use as consumers digital channels for banking, for retail, for food delivery, for groceries, for hospitality services during this lockdown? Once you use that digital channel for the first time, then maybe the second time, maybe the third, fourth, fifth, or sixth time, who's to say that you're ever going to go back to your traditional consumption patterns pre-digital, before that? There's a lot of really interesting data out there that I've seen, anywhere from 5, 6, 7 to 10 years of digital adoption that has been compressed into 3, 4, 5 months of this lockdown of consumer behaviors. So what that means for your business is critical. If you're not thinking through how some consumer patterns may never go back to what they were, it's critical to start and to integrate a digital capability if you haven't got one already. And if you have one, make sure that it's going to be resilient and relevant for more volume, more throughput, more scale that's required, and new consumer expectations for service delivery, particularly in a digital world, as more commerce goes to digital. I mean, people probably don't even realize, just as a fun fact, people think Amazon is so dominant, and indeed in many ways they are, but if you think through the percentage of all commerce that's online pre-COVID was only in the low double digits, was all e-commerce in the US. There's so much room for growth, and not only e-commerce in terms of consumer goods, it's e-commerce in terms of every service, including financial services.
Jeremy, there's a lot of Australians who may be watching this video. What personal advice would you give to them in terms of their COVID-19 resilience?
We're Aussies by nature. Unless you're in New Zealand, you're very far away from home. And when you're going through pandemics, once in 100-year events, home is really, really far away. And of course, you add the economic uncertainty to that too. There'd be many Aussies. There are a million Aussie expats around the world, no less in New York, who are probably worried if that visa is going to run out or that job's still going to be there. I guess the advice would be really as follows: is use this enforced pause in our lives to pick up new skills and to, in some ways, reinvent yourself. We should be doing that anyway, but even more so now. Pick up new skills, pick up a side hustle. There's a lot you can learn on YouTube videos of just things to do and skills to take on. I personally have done plenty of learning myself, stuff that's going to directly help me in my day job and stuff that's just going to help me in life. But use the opportunity to reinvent yourself. And the final thing I would say is, in this new virtual world where everyone's working remotely, it totally destroys hierarchy and rank and seniority when all we are really is just another little box on a screen talking. So it's actually a great opportunity for you to speak up, to be the change, to let the quality of your ideas, the quality of your thinking, and indeed the execution of that shine through to make a mark when all you're competing against is other little boxes on a screen. And I really mean that. That's an advantage if you use it that way, to reestablish yourself in a different light within your peer group, your company, and frankly, become a better person and a better professional out of this crazy experience that we're all living through. That's the way I look at it. That's the advice I've been giving plenty of folks, including many Aussies who are far away from home, feeling pretty anxious. And I just hope everyone's got their health and safety first and foremost, and we all get through this together.
My advice would get a better webcam. Invest in a webcam. Jeremy, thanks so much for your time today. It's always a pleasure speaking.
Thanks, James. See you later.
Thank you.